This is our virtual meeting of RBKC's Licensing Subcommittee. Thank you all for attending. I'm Councillor Sof McVeigh and I'll be chairing this meeting, and I'm joined on the committee with Councillor Thaxter and Councillor Evans. Would you both like to introduce yourself, please? And please do turn your cameras on.
Hello, thank you, Chair. I'm Councillor Janet Evans from Courtfield Ward. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I'm Councillor Portia Thaxter from St Helens Ward.
Fantastic, thank you. And just to remind everyone that this meeting is being streamed live and it's being held via Microsoft Teams. And we're joined remotely by Sharon Dyball and Paul Phelan from the Council's licensing team, and our legal officer, Lindsay Le Mesurier, and also with us is our committee officer, Leonie Hill. And she'll be monitoring all of our connections and helping us if we have any technical issues. And she is supported by Yasmin and Isabel. So before we start, just like to kick off with a few ground rules. Please keep your microphones on mute until you're invited to speak, and mobile phones on silent when you are speaking is really helpful as well. Thanks. And do turn your camera on if you like when you are speaking. Everyone should have received the procedure for this meeting. And if we lose connection, how to kind of log back in again as well. Now, speaking of connection, I might well lose my internet connection. So in that case, I'd like to please nominate a substitute chair, which will be Councillor Evans. If I could nominate her. And if
second.
Thank you, Councillor Thaxter. So Councillor Janet Evans, are you okay? Would you like to accept the nomination for substitute chair?
I accept. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. And the case before us today is to grant a premises license in respect of Tallard Eatery, ground floor 533 Kings Road, SW10. And I declare I have no declarations of interest. Fellow committee members?
No interests. Thank you.
No declaration of interest.
Thank you very much. And just very briefly, I'll go through the procedure. Again, all this should have been sent to you. So first, the licensing officer, Mr. Phelan, will give a brief outline of the application. Can you please confirm your attendance?
Present, Chair.
Thank you. And then we will ask the applicant to do their submission. Can you please confirm your attendance?
Yes. Present.
Fantastic, thank you. And you have up to 10 minutes to do this. And then questions will be asked of you by the committee, and then also the objectors can ask questions as well for you. And then the objectors will have a chance. I believe we have one today. Judge Sherman, would you like to confirm your attendance, please?
Yes, Chairman, I'm here, Chair.
Fantastic. Judge Sheriff, thank you. And you'll have up to 10 minutes as well. Thank you. And then the committee will ask you questions, and likewise the applicant can ask you questions as well. And then we'll turn to our legal officer, Ms. Le Mesurier, to deal with any questions. And can you please confirm your attendance?
I'm present, Chairman.
Thank you very much. And then finally, we'll turn to licensing officers and governance officers to see if there are any concerns that have been raised during the course of the hearing. And there'll be no summing up. So thank you, and can I please remind everyone that obviously the committee has read all the papers and the additional papers that have been sent out. And can I please confirm that the applicant and the objector has also received the additional papers as well?
Yes. Yes, I have.
Thank you very much. Fantastic. So let's get going. Mr. Phelan, can you please outline the case for us? Thanks.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning. This application is made by TADA Limited for the grant of a premises licence at ground floor 533 Kings Road, London, SW10 0TZ, for the sale by retail of alcohol for consumption on and off the premises, Sunday to Wednesday from 10 a.m. until 21:30 hours, Thursday to Saturday from 10 a.m. until 2300 hours. The provision of late night refreshment indoors, Thursday to Saturday from 2300 hours until 23:30 hours. The playing of recorded music indoors, and hours the premises are open to the public, Monday to Wednesday from 8 a.m. until 2200 hours, Thursday to Friday from 8 a.m. until 23:30, Saturday from 9 a.m. until 23:30, and Sunday from 9 a.m. until 2200 hours. The applicant is also seeking an extension until 1 a.m. for licensable activities on New Year's Eve with a closing hour of 01:30 a.m. The premises previously benefited from a premises license under license number LICPR 108805. This license lapsed back in January 2020 due to liquidation. The applicant has proposed several conditions to promote the licensing objectives, full details of which can be found on pages 27 to 31 of the committee papers. This authority has received 3 objections from residents. A summary of these representations can be found on pages 3 and 4 of the committee papers, and a copy of the representations can be found at Appendix D at pages 39 to 43. Additional papers were submitted by the applicant and subsequently shared with relevant parties on the 14th of July. These papers confirm that the premises will operate 20 covers, not the 35 covers initially detailed within the application, which is in line with planning conditions attached to this premises. An additional set of plans have been included with today's bundle. These plans were submitted with the application and clarify the licensable area, fire safety, and the extent of the boundary of the building. One final point to note under this is that planning permission premises can only operate until 11 p.m. If the committee is minded to grant this license as applied for, the applicant would be required to apply for planning permissions for the additional half an hour on Thursday to Saturday. That concludes the summary of this application. I'll leave it there for now unless there's anything else I can be of help with at this stage. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Phelan. That was very helpful. Can I please now turn to the applicant? Natalie, would you like to do your submission? You have up to 10 minutes. Thank you.
Yes. So, hi, my name is Natalie. I'm the chef owner of Palette Eatery. So we submit the application. We would like to have the same conditions. I understand there were concerns of the extension of the license hours, also the increase of the number of people in the premises. So we're happy to go back and just use the same terms that was granted to the previous license before. And the shop that we're looking to do is very much a, family style Thai food. So I'm from Thailand. I'm from the north of Thailand in the province of Chiang Rai. And we are looking to share the heritage and the food that I grew up eating with my family. The license states that we're looking to do a grocer and a cafe as well. It's mainly because when COVID hit, we just wanted to make sure we have the flexibility to just weather this storm. Given that, there's no eat-ins and the whole industry is really suffering right now, we thought we just needed that side just to get us through the hard times. But yes, we're looking to do a takeaway and restaurant, and also we're now thinking of doing more like a retail business as well. In terms of eat-in license for alcohol, there'll be bottles sold at the restaurant, and also we'll look to have them so they could take it away and just drink at home as well. We'll probably start with a small number of choices. I would say like 2 red and 2 white and maybe 1 beer. We just wanted to keep things small because the place is small. There isn't much capacity for much more anyway. So that's just the background of where we are and just the capacity of the store. And we're not looking to be a club or anything in terms of music. We just wanted to have like inviting, chill, quite relaxing music just to make it nice for people to come in. And there'll be, it's not like we're looking to have like loud music and people dancing. That's not the concept at all. At the moment, we wanted to keep the opening hours quite early. So when we ask for like the 11 p.m., it's probably as a backup when things are back to normal. But like we're definitely not looking to stay that late because the hours we are looking to be like a cafe. So when we start at 8 a.m. and if we close really late at 11, that's a long day for the staff and for me because I probably need to be there 24/7 for the beginning. So at the beginning, we want to do from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. just to test it out and not looking to have any rowdy parties or anything. What else? In terms of the clientele and the people that we want to serve, we really want to take care of the locals and just make sure they get good food, they get good service, and just, slowly share our culture and do what we do best, which is just, be hospitable and bring a part of the Thailand that I know, which is just really welcoming and share what we are doing, like as a culture as well. The culture of eating together and nourishing with good food. We'll have lots of salads. There'll be some curries and just a few things that are a bit different from the typical Thai restaurant that are the pad Thai and green curry. We have a bit more of a northern Thai specialties there. I think that's I hope that covers what is required of me and maybe a bit more just to introduce you to who we are and what we're looking to do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was very helpful. I think you've covered quite a few questions that I had initially, but I just want to clarify one thing before I turn to the committee to ask you any more questions. You said you're happy to have the same terms exactly as the previous license. Can I just confirm that?
Yes, because I understand there were some very understandable concerns. So if that will help mitigate all the objections that are being raised, then we're happy to take the terms that was previously granted to the license before us.
That would be very helpful because there was a few questions I had about recorded music and extra hours. So I don't need to ask those. Thank you very much. I'm going to turn to Councillor Janet Evans first. For Councillor Evans, do you have any questions?
Yes, thank you very much. That was a very good presentation. I just wanted to know regarding the loos, where they are, how you get there, just to establish the nuisance value, etc.
Yeah, sure. So the loos, we use the loos that are within the building.
Right.
So they have like a shared toilet of the building. So we are currently using that.
I see. And what about access? When you say shared, will there be lots of people outside, or because there will be queues, etc. So how many people will be using those loos for your premises?
So for the moment, we have, I think, we want to have 1 or 2 back of house and 1 or 2 front of house. So that's going to be 4 of us and me is 5. And the loo is actually in the building. So you have to come out the shop and go through the entrance of the building. And it's just below the staircase, which is about, I think, like 30 meters away.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And how many loos are there?
So there's 2 for female and 2 for male. Although I cannot confirm the male because I haven't really been there, but I think from what the building manager told me, that's the number.
Okay, and those loos are shared with the club, or who are they shared with? Which other premises?
Yeah, so it's shared within the neighbors in the building.
Who are?
So there's a few shops selling antique furniture, an architect firm, a few marketing agencies, but I don't think the people on the top will use them. It's more the people on the ground floor, which is like the antique shop.
I see. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Evans. Councillor Thaxter, do you have any questions for the applicant? Have we just lost Councillor Thaxter? She was here a minute ago. Leonie, have we still got Councillor Thaxter?
No, I don't think we do. Let me just invite her in again.
Thank you.
Leonie?
Hi, Councillor Thaxter, you're back in the hearing. We can all hear you now.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Thaxter, would you like to ask any questions to the applicant?
Not present, in a little while.
Okay, thank you. So I have just a question. I just want to clarify, if I may, Natalie, about what you're asking for. If we could just run through it, I may need to get some advice also from our legal advisor, Lindsay Le Masurio, on this. You are happy to have it exactly the same hours as the previous license. So the changes are regarding Wednesday evening primarily will just be the same. It'll be till 11 p.m. I believe that is correct. Yeah, on the previous one. So you're happy with that. And then you won't be asking for any recorded music. I mean, anyone can play recorded music up till 11 a.m. anywhere. That's not regulated, but you won't be asking for it any later than 11 p.m.
That's correct, yes.
That's correct.
Happy with the original hour, yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So if the committee were minded to grant this licence, that's what we are looking at. And I'm sure that Lindsay Missouri will come in towards the end with some clarifications about conditions when we get there. So I have a question for you, please, if I may, regarding smoking. Do you have any policy about if your customers want to go outside and smoke? How will you manage that, please?
I mean, we definitely are not, so there's no smoking inside, there's no smoking outside. I would say, like, we're more than happy to ask customers to, find a bin and smoke next to the bin where they can, like, safely dispose of the cigarette butt, but, like, definitely not inside or outside the restaurant.
Okay, because what we may suggest, then you put a smoking policy. And I'll turn to Lindsay Missouri to find out if that's worth putting in, if we're minded to grant it, because quite often we limit the number of smokers allowed outside, we limit where they're allowed to be, and obviously you'd have to clear up any of the smoking outside. Okay.
Agree.
Fantastic. And let me just check. I think so. We've covered recorded music. Delivery. Do you have any idea about delivery couriers policy you're thinking of implementing if you were awarded the license?
So delivery and courier, we're probably going to have, like, if it's in the morning before we open, then they will have the keys to the shop, and we probably will have the vegetable people that probably comes in, I would say, like before 8 a.m. And so that's, so they would do that with us directly.
Okay. Yeah. I meant slightly more, for example, Deliveroo or Uber Eats or
oh, yeah.
Food from you.
Yeah. So, we'll have to ask them to wait outside, and we'll just bring them the food, and we'll probably ask them to just line up nicely as well, so it doesn't bother or like spill out to the pavement too much.
Okay. Again, we may, if we're minded to approve, we may put in a condition about delivery, because in some premises that in the borough that's quite an issue. That tends to be slightly larger premises that cause an issue. Thank you for that. I'm okay. We might come back to Councillor Thaxter in a minute, but now for the objectors. Would you like to ask any questions, Sharad, to the applicant?
Now, would you like me to ask questions, or I sort of prepared a little something?
So at this stage, you can ask a specific question to the applicant, but literally straight away now, we're about to hear your actual submission, which will be.
I wanted to know about the takeaway alcohol, taking it away. It has to be in a sealed container. Is that going to be in bottles, or is that going to be in a covered, plastic mug? The thought that people could just take away a bottle of wine or a bottle of beer is obviously all right. Where are they going to be drinking it? In the park next door, which is full of families and children. I'm not super happy about all that, and it's not been made very clear, I don't think. It's off premises.
Okay, understood. We'll ask that question in a minute. I just see our legal advisor may want to come in there. Lindsay, are you going to come in there?
Thank you, Chair. Sorry, it's Heidi Tick. I'm just explaining to Joe Sherrod that the law is about to change in terms of off sales. We're expecting the law to change this week, whereby for a temporary period up until September 2021, there is going to be amendment to the Licensing Act so that any conditions which restrict off sales will be suspended. So even if we put a condition on about no alcohol should be served in an open container, that condition will not be effective once the law is amended later this week. So I just wanted to explain that. It will apply for the rest of the time because this is obviously a permanent license, but it won't apply for the next year and a half.
Right.
Thank you for that. So let's just turn to the applicant to ask her how you envisage your off sales of alcohol going, please, Natalie. Thank you.
Sure thing. Yes. So first of all, we the clientele that we're looking to attract is definitely we're not doing anything like bottom dollar, I would say. So I would hope that the consumers are not looking to get drunk and cause a nuisance, because we're quite like an upmarket and quite chic and quite considered place. So the reason for selling this to take alcohol to take away is mainly because when we do the grocery, we do food, and just to make sure that it matches with the food, then we'll have like a small selection of alcohol. So when they take away, for example, the curry soup that we have in the backpack, soup bag, so when they eat it at home, they can actually match it with like the wine that we select as well. So that's mainly that. So we'll sell it in bottles and not in open containers. So we're not going to be, pouring it and they just kind of like drink on the way home kind of thing. So we'll sell the whole bottle. So hopefully that people are not going to be looking just to have that straight away and just get smashed in a park, which is not nice. And where will be drunk? Yes, if it's not in the open container, then we want them to have it at home with the food when they heat up. The chicken curry that we have, goes well with some sort of like a Riesling that we'll choose from the German wine region. So that's the kind of vibe that we're going for.
Okay, thank you very much. Joe Scherer, does that answer your question? We can come back to you for your submission in a minute. I think Councillor Thaxter has a question as well.
Well, I mean, it doesn't really, because I don't really see why a takeaway, if you've got takeaway food, you have to have alcohol with it. I don't really understand that. If you're going to have it at home, you've probably got your own beer and things at home. But if you're going to take it into the park and eat and drink it there, then it becomes more of a problem. Particularly, bottles get rubbish at the moment. So that's another situation. And that's one of the things that I am concerned about is that a lot of people will be not taking, the Deliveroo stuff is one thing, but the other takeaway things, if you've just got bottles of beer and wine being taken into the park or around the corner, I don't really see why it needs to be like that.
Okay, thank you for that. So,
sorry, is that for me to respond? Yeah.
yes, you can respond.
Okay. Yes.
Can everyone put themselves on mute if they're not speaking, please? Because we're getting a lot of feedback. Thanks.
Yes. So, I mean, I totally understand your concern with the, bottles and all this nuisance that could be caused in the park. I mean, the things that I really want to stress here is, again, the quality of the food and also like the price point that we're setting and also the clientele that we're looking to aim for. So these are, hopefully going to be sophisticated individuals who are not looking to, get hammered and just cause a nuisance and just be completely irresponsible. Because, like, for example, our bottles, and when we calculate the spend per head, it should be, with the starters and main and maybe some sides like a rice or some vegetable. So that is around 25 to 30 pounds per head. And then the bottles again, like the price of point that we're looking to sell is around, 30 pounds per bottle. So again, this is not like a 5 pound or 7 pound wine that you can get from Tesco or Lidl or Aldi. So I think this will help with some of the concerns of, the type of behavior that we're looking to not have it happen, to prevent.
Okay, thank you very much for that. I'm sure we'll hear more about your concerns, Joe Scherer, when we get to your submission. Councillor Thaxter, I believe you have a question.
Yes, I do, Chair. Thank you, Chair. This is a question for the applicant. I was wondering, given the current climate, moving forward, how would you contain 35 people in the premises on a busy night? And I would like to know what would that look like in practice.
Yes. So I guess, like, notwithstanding, where we are with the social distancing and all these measures to tackle COVID, because it's going to be impossible to have that amount of people. So with the application, we're more than happy to limit that number to 20 people, not 35. So that's the first thing to state clearly. And also the second thing is the fact that, again, the place is small. So the seating that we have right now that we're looking to do, that is around, I think, 22 limit. And the other, I think, like The other ones that we put in are more for, like people just waiting or like staff running in and out with the Deliveroo. But like even with 22, that is the number that we know we're not going to make anyway, because once, realistically to have that many seats in this small capacity, and also the kitchen is small, and we know the equipment are not like, I would say it's not a strong stove that could really crank out some sort of a stir fry dish within 1 minute, the same way other Thai restaurants or Asian restaurants can. So
okay, I'm just going to interrupt. For a moment, because I think you've answered the question. You're not doing 35. You're aiming for 20.
We're definitely not. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Councillor Thaxter, any other questions?
I would like to know what it would look like in the 20, because she reduced it to 20. Well, on a busy night, with people, customers drinking a lot of alcohol and you're intoxicated, what would that look like in practice, maintaining that amount of people on the premises?
Yeah. So we're gonna have, I think, 5 to 8 people. 5 to 8 tables in the restaurant, and that's gonna be like tables of 2 each. So maximum that is 16 already. The other 4 will be sitting around the long countertop, which is by the entrance. So when we take care of customers, so we'll have 2 front of house, excluding me. So I'm there, that's going to be 3 people. And we're always going to be vigilant with the customers, going to be, making conversations, just noticing, how they're doing, and obviously not overselling alcohol when we feel like they overly intoxicated. So that's usually the front of house, making being very, very vigilant with that. And also we will refuse customers for sale of alcohol when we feel that it's over the limit now for them, and we're just not comfortable with having that kind of behavior that could, cause danger to staff and to the neighborhood as well. So those are the big things that we are really, really vigilant of. Because again, we're not looking to, have a party and just get everybody drunk. It's the food that we really want to. Yeah,
I think that's great. Portia, other questions? Would you like to get more clarification?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Sorry, just turning my camera on. Thank you very much for that. Thank you for those questions. I have no more questions. So now we're going to turn to Joe Sherrod to do your submission, please, if you will. You have up to 10 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Firstly, I'd like to say that I couldn't be more delighted at the thought of a Thai takeaway or deli. And I met with Natalie, and she seems a very charming lady. And she assured me she didn't wish to cause any objections from neighbours, but from the latest reports attached to this licence, it appears that nothing has changed, but she has agreed that she will keep the licence to existing, which is good, and also the hours of opening, which again is good. As you may know, local residents were very unhappy about the granting of a licence to the cafe in the first place, the one that has lapsed. This venue, years ago, when it started out, was the most popular takeaway bacon butty place. But since those days, it seems to have failed in every new venture, because I believe they're trying to be something that this space is not suited for. I know the space, it is tiny, there are no windows. The loos, as has been pointed out, are outside. They're shared with Zeppelin nightclub, and in the evenings, obviously, and also all the Furniture Cave tenants. It would be quite easy for somebody to slip out without paying, I would have thought. But anyway, that's another thing. There are already 3 other licensed premises in this building, and to have 4 licensed premises in one building is a total overload. Again, I understand that she wishes it to be different, and I applaud that, and that's good. But predominantly, I was told, it would be a takeaway in Delhi. And so if that is the case, why the need for alcohol to be sold at any time? And now then, when I spoke to Natalie, she told me they had no plans to have people seated as it is a takeaway, but the revised internal plan came through yesterday showing seating for 27, which goes against her statement on the 15th of July that capacity will remain at 20. The layout she is talking about today of tables of 2 is quite different from the layout that I received yesterday with the 27 tables. I can't see how we're really going to get 5 or 8 tables for 2 people in this tiny space. But there we are. And I've already asked the question about the sale of the premises, sale of alcohol off premises. I sincerely hope that the committee will listen to my thoughts and feelings about this licence. We don't wish to curtail a genuinely good business, but is this one that really needs a licence? And we would like clarification as to whether it is a takeaway or something that is going to escalate into a restaurant in due course. And I think this is our worry, is that, you know, a restaurant in this space is just not really what is going to be good. Regarding the smoking area, at the moment, I think the cafe license had to have the shared smoking area with Jack's restaurant as well, which is within the furniture cave, and it's got an open air thing. But otherwise, what is inevitably going to happen is that people will be on the pavement or indeed out in the park during the hours that it is open. Anyway, those are my feelings and thoughts. As I say, I don't wish to be difficult about this, but it does concern us all that we're going to have yet another licensed premises in this building. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your submission, and I'm very pleased to hear that you have met Natalie and had a discussion, because we always try to encourage that, and it's amazing actually how rarely it seems to happen. So really appreciated. Thank you, and again for being so kind of understanding and reasonable about the concerns of the area and knowing it so well. I'm quite familiar with Watts Road as well, and so I do see what you're saying about the takeaway aspect. Sorry, Joe, do you mind putting yourself on mute just for a moment? Thank you. I think we get the feedback through the computer. So I don't have any questions for you, but I think maybe Councillor Evans, do you have any questions? Councillor Evans, I think you're still on mute.
Yeah, can you hear me? Hello? Okay. The query I had, and I thank Mrs. Sherrard for bringing it up, was the 2 different ideas of where the tables and chairs are going to be, because the diagram shows one scenario and the applicant has mentioned another scenario, and I am a bit concerned which one will be in effect, because we do have to have social distancing, and there seems to be a big counter effect here. So could I get some clarification, please?
Yes, of course. Yeah. So what we submitted was, I guess, pre-COVID. So that was, I guess, no concern of social distancing. So what I just lay out to you previously was after we take that into consideration. So we need to take away the big tables, because the whole social distancing, and we have to separate each table. So what we are doing is getting in the 3 tables inside the restaurant. So that's going to be like in the further end. So
Right.
that should like have 3 tables of 2 separated. And
Right.
then there'll be another 2 tables on the other side where the other sharing table is. So that's when I was talking about the 5 to 8 tables. That's more going to be 5 given the social distancing at the moment. So
Right.
that's the 3 and then the 2. And yeah, so that's, and again, like the place is tiny. So I completely understand. I don't want to like overload and just get customers all, like piled up in there. And it's not a nice atmosphere. So that's why we want to be a bit more like, a bit more reasonable about the layout. And yes, it needs to be changed because of the whole COVID-19.
Yes, of course, and there's no
Yeah.
ventilation either, so that is a concern.
We're gonna have air conditioning, so that will help with the ventilation.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And the chairs along the counter, so those will not be able to be used, will they?
No, definitely not.
So you will
that's
have fewer people, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Evans. Councillor Thaxton, do you have any questions for the objector?
No, President Chair.
Okay, and Natalie, would you have any questions to ask Ms. Sherrod?
Not so much. I think it's more just, I understand the concern, and we want to do our best to help and cooperate just to make sure that we don't cause any trouble and just fit in with the neighbor, because it is a nice neighborhood. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And I'm now going to turn to our legal officer, because I think there's a couple of questions we need to clarify. The committee were minded to grant this about the New Year's Eve situation. Lindsay, are you?
Yes, I'm here, Chair. Thank you very much. I just wanted, before I start going through the conditions, I just wanted to just check in terms of deregulated music. Obviously, it's deregulated up till 11 p.m. at night. Was the applicant happy to reduce the Thursday, Friday and Saturday to 11 p.m? I think she mentioned that rather than 11:30. Okay.
That, yes.
Okay, so that is 11 p.m. So it would all be deregulated now, and therefore not covered by this licence. In terms of New Year's Eve, you want the licensable activities to go on till 1 a.m. the following day, and for the closing time to be 1:30 a.m. Is that correct?
Yes, but now looking at I think what we already have is just to keep it at 11 p.m.
For New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's changed to so there wouldn't be any non-seasonal variations. Okay, so that's 11 p.m. now. Okay. Chairman, did you want me to go through the conditions at this stage?
Sorry, it's Heidi here. In relation to New Year's Eve, if it falls on a Sunday, the licence would finish at 10:30. So if they want 11 o'clock on the New Year's Eve, which I'm sure they would, then you would need to formally grant that if you're minded to do so.
Thank you, Heidi.
So Natalie, that's really a question for you in terms of keeping your options open regarding New Year's Eve, or keeping the license exactly as the previous applicant had it.
Happy to keep it as the previous application.
Okay, that's understood. Fantastic. And again, so that's just again the same hours. Understood for that. And now Ms. Lemasuria has some questions regarding conditions which if we were minded to grant this license, we would like to have them put on. So I think now's a good time, actually, if you want to go through them. That would be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. I mean, a lot of the conditions are carried over from the previous licence where relevant. And a couple have been tweaked. I don't propose to read them all out in detail, except where there's been a change. I think the first condition, I just wanted to check, obviously you're happy to have the CCTV condition. I've just tweaked the wording of subsection F, which had said the premises shall have visible signs stating there is CCTV in progress as a deterrent. And I've changed it to our standard model. Should the equipment become faulty, then the Met Police will be notified and all reasonable efforts made to have any fault rectified within 24 hours. Are you happy with that, Natalie?
Yes, happy with that.
Thank you. And then condition 2, that had said all alcohol is to be sold with food only. If the committee were minded to grant, we may change this to substantial food and non-alcoholic beverages, including drinking water, shall be available to customers throughout the permitted hours for the sale of alcohol. Are you happy with that?
Yes, happy with that.
Thank you. Condition 3 is the challenge 25 condition, just been slightly tweaked to say the premises shall operate a challenge 25 age verification policy and staff shall be trained in respect of the policy. Staff shall ask for proof of age from anyone they suspect of being less than 25 years of age, and then the same standard forms of ID as before. Are you happy with that?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, condition 4, that is about a dedicated telephone number. I've changed that to say a dedicated telephone number for the designated premises supervisor or duty manager shall be maintained for use by any person who may wish to make a complaint during the operation of the licence. This shall be placed on a sign at the entrance to the premises and shall be provided to the licensing authority and local residents associations. Any change to the number shall be notified to the licensing authority and local residents associations within 7 days of the change. Are you okay with that?
Yep.
Okay, then conditions 5, 6 and 7, they relate to staff training. I think I'm going to pretty much keep them the same, but I just might beef them up a little bit just to make them comply with our standard conditions about record keeping, and making sure that the records are available to the council and staff are aware of legal requirements and restrictions. Are you okay with that?
Happy with that.
I haven't got any changes to about the police being notified if the customers, if they need assistance with a customer. The daily log, I've just added in, you need to keep a note of all seizure of drugs and offensive weapons, which is obviously probably unlikely, but it's our standard condition. So are you happy with that?
Yes, happy. Yeah.
That's fine. The previous conditions regarding legible notices, that's the same. No noise or vibration to cause a nuisance to neighbouring properties, that's the same. Can I just check the previous condition relating to refuse collections said they shall not take place between 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. the following day. Is that still the same for now?
I understand that the rubbish collection is with the building, so we will share their bin, and we don't have like a separate refuse collection for our shop.
Okay, yeah. So not your own separate bins. Okay.
No. Yeah.
Thank you. Condition 14, that stays the same, but all deliveries to the premises to be directed via the sole entrance on Lotts Road. Delivery drivers to be reminded to be mindful of residents and not play disruptive music. Deliveries prior to 7 were given keys, so that's the same. The other condition about consumption of alcohol on the premises shall cease, and 30 minutes drinking up time is the same. Staff will make all reasonable efforts to ensure patrons don't loiter in front of the premises when exiting is the same. Patrons and staff shall only smoke in the designated area for smoking located in the courtyard of the furniture cave as shown on the plans. That's the same.
Sorry, can I just come in here? I think probably if we could put maybe a limit of number of people on that one, if we did reminded to grant this. I mean, all these conditions are obviously dependent on our discussion afterwards, whether we can grant the licence or not.
What were you thinking in terms of smoking limits?
I'm not familiar with how narrow that area is, but I would have thought only a couple of. I don't know, Natalie. What do you think? It's your operation.
I mean, there is a little bit of space that I've seen, the people from just the neighbor, they would stand there, and I think like maximum 8 people is definitely more than like enough.
Sorry, how many people was that? 8 people, did you say?
8, yeah, from our shop, I would say.
Okay, so you're suggesting 8 people in the designated smoking area?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's for councillors to take a view on that. Shall I go on, Chairman?
Sorry, we have a question here from our licensing officer, Sharon Dyball. Would you like to say something? Hello.
Yes, thank you. Just in relation to the smoking area, that is also used by the bar Roomy, which is directly adjacent to it. So any condition is going to be quite difficult as far as limiting those numbers, because if we were to go there, we wouldn't know how many people were from these particular premises and how many were from Roomy.
Chair,
that's a good point. Yes, Heidi. Yep.
Yeah, just rather than limiting the numbers, you could just say that all smokers should smoke in the designated smoking area.
I think that's what the condition already says at the moment.
That says, okay, understood. That seems as if that's making it too complicated to put a limit. We just want to make sure they're not standing around on the street, so we can enforce that if we did grant the licence. Okay, Lindsay, carry on then about the conditions.
Thank you. 18, all sales of alcohol for consumption off the premises to be in sealed containers only. That was this previous condition. And 19, no alcohol or other drinks shall be taken from the premises in an open container. That was a carryover condition. Now moving forward to proposed conditions, I was going to add a standard delivery driver condition, which would read: if the premises licence holder decides to take a delivery service through the provision of a delivery courier company, then the premises licence holder shall operate a delivery policy which shall be adhered to at all times the premises are operating under the premises licence. The policy should contain a strategy on the attendance of couriers waiting to collect food from the premises so that they do not cause a nuisance to neighbouring residents. A copy of the policy must be served on the licensing authority by no later than 21 days from the commencement of this delivery service. Are you happy with that condition, Natalie?
Yes. Yeah.
Next one, it's a queuing and dispersal policy. A queuing and dispersal policy.
Sorry, can I just go back?
Yep.
Sorry, I just want to be quite finicky about some of these things, because I know one of Joe Sharrow's concerns was about the alcohol off the premises. And looking at what's on the screen now, I would just like your legal view about adding in off the premises for sale only with food.
I think we added in a condition earlier on about substantial food. Just bear with me.
Right, so then we need to make sure that these aren't either duplicating it or contrary to.
Yes, I think I mentioned earlier on about substantial food and non-alcoholic beverages, including drinking water, shall be available to customers throughout the permitted hours for the sale of alcohol. I think we were going to add that into.
Yes, but that's slightly different from allowing the specific alcohol. All alcohol sold with food only, on and off. But they seem to slightly contradict each other. So if we could just, don't need to do this right now, but if we could just clarify that and make sure everyone knows that anybody can't just walk in there and buy a bottle of beer and then go and drink it in the park unless they have food with them, is my understanding.
Okay. Yes, we'll just need to check that point out if you don't mind.
Fantastic. Just get the right wording.
Chair, it's Heidi here, just to say that you can make the sale of alcohol ancillary to food if you think that's appropriate to do so.
Yes. So I think that's probably the question for you, Natalie, if we were minded to grant this, because one of the big concerns is people just, however much you want to have lovely clients, sometimes you may not always get the lovely clients, and you may have someone who comes in and just says they want to have some drink. So would you always say you have to just serve food with it? That's a question for you.
I mean, yeah, since the food is the star of the shop, I would want to have them have it with food rather than just alcohol.
Okay, thank you. So that's ancillary with meals. Thank you. Sorry, Liz.
Thank you. Then I was going to go on to the queuing and dispersal policy. A queuing and dispersal policy to mitigate congestion and obstruction of the pavement and minimise any noise and nuisance created by patrons and staff shall be prepared and implemented and complied with by all staff at all times. The premises are operating under the premises licence. A copy of the policy to be served on the licensing authority and placed on the applicant's website. Are you happy with that, Natalie?
Yes, yeah.
And then there's just a few more. No noise associated with the operation of the premises or music generated on the premises shall give rise to nuisance within neighbouring dwellings. That's one of our standard conditions. Are you happy with that? Then this is something that you offered. No persons under the age of 18 shall be admitted to the premises after 6 p.m. without an accompanying adult present. You still happy with that? I think that was offered in your application.
I mean, if they want food, then I probably would not turn them away just because they're 18 and below with no alcohol. Could we remove that?
That will be up to the committee to decide. Okay.
Sorry, just a quick question. Heidi, do you still have your hand up? Is that still
Yes, sorry, I didn't want to interrupt Lindsay, but just going back to that ancillary food condition, food has various meanings. So the question, is it a table meal? Is it substantial food? I just wondered if we could just explore that a bit with the applicant, because if it's a table meal, then it's a knife and fork type of meal, not a bag of crisps. So I just wanted to make sure that the applicant was fully aware of what she's committing to, just to make sure that she's happy with the ancillary food, or whether it's just ancillary food or ancillary to a table meal or ancillary to substantial food. So I wonder if that could be clarified.
Yeah, I think it would be good just to clarify the difference between the substantial food, table meal, and the ancillary food. Yeah.
Okay, and what's your opinion on that? I mean, I would have thought you probably wouldn't necessarily want a table meal because I can imagine if someone wants to come in and just have, I don't know, some chicken satay, you don't have a knife and fork for that. So that slightly complicated, but obviously we don't want people just having a bag of crisps. So it's somewhere in between, in the middle one, I'd have thought. But Natalie, what do you suggest?
Yeah. I think when they are sitting to eat, I think we when you're talking about chicken satay, which we don't have, all our food needs knife and fork. So I don't think having a table meal with alcohol is going to cause us any problem with serving with alcohol, because we need knife and fork for all the food that we serve here. So that's not a concern for me. It's more when you say if they order a bag of crisps or something and they take it away and they want a bottle of alcohol with it. Again, because we sell things as a grocer as well. So if they want, a bottle of this, a bag of crisps, a tub of jam that we make at the shop, I would not stop them from doing that.
Right. So that is slightly different then, because so if your takeaway service could be that I go in and buy some form of a beer or lager, and I come out with a bag of crisps. So, I mean, if you said ancillary to food, then that's very general, and that would be okay. If you said table meal, that would not be okay, and you've got to be aware that you don't want to agree to something that potentially will make you, if you breach the condition, you could be liable for criminal prosecution. So it is helpful if you think it's just food and you need that option, then the condition could just relate to food rather than substantial food or a table meal.
Okay.
Or alternatively, the conditions can be drafted so that the alcohol supplied on the premises for consumption of alcohol on the premises could be ancillary to a table meal, and we could change it in relation to off sales. So it could be ancillary to food for off sales. That would be the alternative way of dealing with it.
I think the second option is better, because if they're sitting in, then it has to be food and alcohol. But if they come in just to take away, then they could just get the alcohol with like a bag of crisps, like you said.
Can I just be clear? Could if they wanted a takeaway, could they just buy the alcohol?
No, it would have to be with something else in the shop.
Okay, that's fine then. So it could be just with food, then that's fine. So the committee can then consider this in their deliberations.
Yes.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Thank you, and that's very important because the committee is really mindful of some of the residents' objections about the potential for this just to become a bar, and obviously we don't want that to happen. So thank you very much, everyone, for clarifying that. Thank you. Sorry, Lindsay, are you carrying on going through the rest of the conditions?
Yes, sorry, can we just, I think there's just 3 or 4 more. So going back to that, no persons under the age of 18 shall be admitted to the premises after 6 p.m. without an accompanying adult. Can the applicant just confirm what her view on that was, please? Sorry.
Yes, I'd like to remove that, because if a kid wants to have a rice and curry by themselves, I don't think they should be turned away, because we're not a bar.
Okay, fine. You wouldn't be able to serve alcohol to them anyway because they're under 18.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Then you obviously offered 20 covers at any one time, so you're happy to stick with that?
Yes, correct.
And I put a standard condition in: no smells generated from the cooking processes at the premises shall give rise to nuisance to occupiers of neighbouring properties. Are you okay with that?
Yes.
And then the last one: rubbish, including bottles of cans, shall not be deposited outside the premises between, and I've got 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. the following day. Are you okay with that?
Oh, yeah, we don't do that.
Okay. Okay, that's it from me, Chairman.
Thank you very much. That was very thorough. And I now would like to turn to our licensing officers. Sharon Dyball and Paul, I don't know if you have anything in addition you'd like to add to the whole hearing.
Thank you, Chair. Just a couple of points of clarity, if that's okay. Can we confirm that the proposal is now for off sales of alcohol to cease at 1900 hours in line with the previous licence, as there's quite a difference between what was initially sought and now what is proposed? I just wanted to get that clarity.
Yes, happy to stick to that previous hours.
Brilliant. One final point. Regarding the proposed start time, it would not normally be the case that hours be extended at this stage. So I know that the start times on, I believe it's the Wednesday to Saturday, on the previous licence start at 9 when the applicant sought at 10 a.m. on the application. So I just wanted to make members aware of that.
Sorry.
Friday to Sunday, apologies.
Yeah, sorry.
Apologies, Friday to Sunday.
So, sorry, you're saying the previous hours? Could you confirm the previous hours?
So the previous hours would be longer than what is applied for, and it would not normally be the case that hours be extended at this stage of the process.
I mean, I'm happy to stick with the previous hours.
So the hours that you sought initially of 10 a.m.
No, with the hours that were on the previous license.
That's what I'm sorry. That's what I'm trying to sort of bring to the attention, that the proposed start time that you're now looking for of 9 a.m. is essentially an extension on what you initially applied for, which would not normally be done at this stage of the process. Ultimately, it's a decision for committee, but I just wanted to raise that point.
Can I just jump in
there?
Yeah. Sorry, Heidi. You go.
Yeah, because in terms of the start time, the applicant cannot have for more than they applied for. So they would have to have the start times that they've applied for. I think the more important thing is that the applicant has said the terminal hour will be the same as was applicable on the previous operation. So the committee doesn't have power to grant longer hours than requested. It can reduce. Okay. It can reduce the hours requested as you've suggested, similar to the previous operator, but it can't grant longer because that hasn't been consulted on. I hope that's clear.
Got it.
Thank you very much for pointing that out, because I understand, Natalie, you're trying to be as flexible as possible, keeping it to the same, but because it hasn't been advertised at that earlier hour, and people may well have wanted to object specifically on that, we can't then grant you additional to what you have requested. So thank you, Mr. Phelan, for pointing that out. Would you like to continue?
That's all, Chair. Thank you for allowing me that opportunity.
No, that was very helpful. Thank you. And just again, need to confirm with the applicant about the off sales. If you could, Sharon, could you move the screen to the off sales? Thank you. So again, we're going back to the off sales. So if someone orders a meal, we just need to really clarify this, because if someone orders a meal and they also want to have, I don't know, a bottle of Thai beer with their Thai takeaway, and they're ordering it at 7:15 in the evening, they would not be allowed to have that. That is correct. Yes?
Well, I can just so the applicant realises what she's been agreeing to. So at the moment, as the application has been asked for off sales up to 9:30 on a Sunday to Wednesday, she could have that if she wanted, or if she is really agreeing to reduce Monday to Wednesday by half an hour, then she can confirm that. But in terms of the application, she applied for off sales on a Thursday to Saturday to 11 o'clock, whereas the old licence limited it to 7 p.m. So perhaps the applicant could clarify.
Yeah, that's a good point.
What she's actually agreeing to, because it's always very difficult when you're dealing with a virtual hearing, and we just want to make sure that it's clear what's been requested and what parts of the application have been withdrawn.
So for the off sale, I think originally it was 9 p.m. that you were saying. So like on Monday to Thursday. Sorry.
Sorry, it was 7 p.m. If you look at perhaps what you need to do is look at the old license, which is on page 6 of the committee papers. Perhaps if that could be brought up. So if you look, so previously, sorry, it's page 7, that's right. Sorry, 6. You'll see the hours of the off sales.
Got it. Yeah.
And they were different to the on sales.
Got it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So 9 p.m. 7 p.m. Yes.
So you've actually applied for longer hours.
Yeah. If they want to take away and they want alcohol, they should be able to have that with the food. Yeah, it needs to be changed to 9
No.
p.m.
Sorry, what time are you reducing it to? I'm not clear.
Sorry, for the off premises. So you said from Monday to Thursday, it's from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. And
Yeah.
then Friday to Sunday, it's 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. So you're saying we can't increase it. We can only reduce it, correct?
No, sorry. You've applied for off sales.
Yes.
From Sunday to Wednesday, from 10 a.m.
Yeah.
to 9:30.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's do it in stages. Do you still want that? Sorry, could the license show the off sale element of the original license? Is it possible? I think it's on page 6.
Yeah, I would like to keep that. Yes.
So the old license on Sunday to Wednesday limited the sale from. You obviously can't start at 9 a.m. You can only start at 10 a.m. because that's what you've applied for. Yeah. But it limited it to 7 o'clock in the evening, whereas you've applied for 9:30 in the evening. So what are you asking the committee to consider on those days?
So I would like to increase it to 9:30.
On the Sunday to Wednesday?
Yes, correct.
Okay. So in terms of, sorry, can you go back to the old license where on the off sales, if we look at that, because it's easier.
Yeah.
Right. So on Thursday, you have applied for 11 o'clock finishing, and the same on Friday and Saturday. Are you saying you still want the 11 o'clock finishing, or do you want to go back to 7 p.m.?
For those days, could we actually keep it all Monday to Sunday, 10 a.m. to 9:30 p.m.?
Yes, so you're actually reducing your application on Thursday, Friday and Saturday from 11 o'clock at night until 7:30 or 9:30. I wasn't clear.
To 9:30.
To 9:30. So you're reducing it back to 21:30 hours every day of the week.
Premises, right? Yep.
Okay, that's clearer. Thank you.
Thank you both for clarifying that. And as Heidi was saying, this is always much more complicated on a virtual hearing than doing it in the room. So that is really appreciated to everybody concerned for doing that. And any other questions, please, legal team, or comments you want to bring up at this stage, because we're about to close the hearing.
None for me, thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Heidi, nothing from you either? No. Thank you.
Sorry, nothing from me, Chair.
Thank you. And just finally, just go back to the licensing officers, Mr. Phelan and Ms. Dybel. Any additional comments?
No, thank you, Chair. Thank you very much. No, thank you.
Thank you. And now the governance team, Leonie, any additional comments that have come up that we need to?
No additional comments.
Fantastic. So we are reaching the end of this meeting, and we have all the information we need. And thank you for clarifying all those quite complicated conditions, but it's always so much better doing it in the hearing, so we have all the information which we can then base our decision on. And we will be retiring. The committee will now retire to a closed session and consider all the information we have got from today's hearing and all the papers before us as well. Thank you very much. We will not be able to announce a decision today, but a summary of the decision will be sent to all parties within 5 working days of today's hearing, and a full decision will follow as soon as possible. So this hearing is now going to end. Thank you all for attending. And the live broadcast will shortly end, and the hearing is now closed. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.